$1.77 trillion. That's the price tag the market slapped on SpaceX the day it went public, off the back of the single biggest IPO in history. $75 billion raised in a single offering. And in just a few weeks since, the stock has just torn higher, blowing past $2.5 trillion in value, sailing right past Amazon's market cap. Almost every video you watch is going to tell you why it deserves every penny. The rockets, the satellites, the vision. I want to show you something different. Not why the price went up, but the mechanical reason it went up the way it did. Because this is the part of the story almost nobody is explaining to regular investors. It's the part that could decide where the stock goes next, so let's get into it. If you're new here, I'm Austin with Rule 1. I'm an analyst for Phil Town, and I'm co-host of Phil's members-only podcast, Portfolio Manager Live. My whole job is to find out where the real risks are hiding, the ones that don't show up in the headline. And this one is a perfect example. Before we touch SpaceX, I need you to understand one thing about how a stock price actually works, because most people have it backwards. A stock price is not some genius calculation of what a company is worth. It's an auction. The price you see is simply the last price that shares changed hands for. That's it. That's the whole machine of the stock market. So picture it. If more people are trying to buy a stock than there are shares for sale at that price, those buyers have to outbid each other to win one. Price goes up. Now flip it. Everybody's trying to sell and nobody's showing up to buy. Sellers have to keep cutting their prices until somebody finally bites. Prices go down. That's the stock market. Not rockets, not earnings, not Elon's tweets. None of that moves the price directly. It only moves the price by changing how badly people want to buy or sell right now. Now let me give you a picture you'll never forget. Imagine a neighborhood with 100 identical houses. Same floor plan, same lot, every one of them. But this neighborhood is one of the most desirable neighborhoods in the whole world. And nobody has been allowed to buy or sell a house there for 10 years. Suddenly, the neighborhood changes the tone and decides only 5 houses are allowed to be sold. The other 95 owners are legally banned from selling. They can't list, they can't cash out, they just have to sit there and hold. Now, imagine there's 30 people who want to live in this neighborhood extremely badly, but there's only 5 available houses. People bid them into the stratosphere. They go for a fortune because 5 is all anybody can buy. And here's the kicker. Every one of those 95 owners who can't sell looks at those 5 houses that just sold and says, on paper, I'm rich. My house must be worth that too. They feel wealthy. They start spending like it. Let me ask the question this entire video is built around. What happens to the price in that neighborhood the day the selling ban lifts and now everybody is finally allowed to sell? If there's only 20 buyers and suddenly there's 95 sellers, you can imagine what happens. Hold that picture, because that neighborhood is the SpaceX IPO. Here's what happened when SpaceX went public. The company did not sell most of itself. It released only a tiny slice of its shares to the public market, barely 5%, roughly 1 out of every 20 shares. That small slice is called the float, and it's the only stock that's actually available to trade right now in the markets. The other 95% is locked up. Early investors and employees and Musk, who legally cannot sell any of their shares yet. Now here's how lopsided the demand was. On the day of the IPO, there was reportedly $350 billion of orders trying to get a piece of that $75 billion slice of stocks that SpaceX actually sold. 4 to 5 times more money wanted to buy than there was available stock to buy. Picture that. For every dollar of SpaceX you could actually purchase, there were 4 or 5 more dollars standing in line behind it, shut out, with nothing to buy. That is the 5 houses. bid to the moon, a tidal wave of demand crashing into a tiny puddle of supply. Of course, the price went vertical. It had to. And I want to be straight with you because you deserve to know where I'm coming from. I am an owner of SpaceX. When the IPO came around, I tried to buy 500 shares and I got 22 of them. That tiny allocation, by the way, is its own little proof of everything I'm telling you. There simply weren't enough shares to go around. I'm gonna go further. I'm a big fan of Elon Musk. I think he's the best entrepreneur in history, and I think SpaceX is one of the most remarkable companies in our lifetime. So this isn't a hit piece. I am absolutely not telling you to short this stock. Please hear that clearly. I'm telling you to understand the machinery before you decide what the skyrocketing price means. Now let's get back to those lockup shares. The 95% of owners who can't trade yet. Who holds them? Well, it's a lot of employees. This IPO reportedly created more than 4,400 employee millionaires at SpaceX. People whose stock is now worth over millions of dollars, and hundreds of them are sitting on stakes that are worth 9 figures, north of $100 million. On top of that, you've got the venture capital firms and the private equity firms, the early money that funded this company years ago, with their own investors to answer to and funds that need to return cash to investors. Right now, all those people are rich on paper, just like the 95 homeowners staring at that sky-high comp. But feeling rich and being able to actually cash out are two completely different things. And the bridge between them is this lockup expiration. So here's the moment the whole video has been leading to. Eventually, the locks come off, and the day those early investors and employees are finally allowed to sell some stock. The math that pumped this stock flips completely. The demand that bid it up doesn't vanish, but for the first time, it runs into supply, real supply, a wall of it. Just set aside Elon Musk's stake. It's enormous, it's over $1 trillion, it's not going anywhere. Take Elon out of the picture, and you're still left with something like half the entire company held by employees and venture capital and private equity firms that funded this thing years ago. At today's price, that's well over $1 trillion worth of stock. Let that number land. More than $1 trillion held by people who have waited years to do exactly one thing: the chance to finally sell. Now picture the stampede. Thousands of employees who just became millionaires on paper, wanting to buy a house, pay off debt, lock up the win of a lifetime. Funds that have had their money tied up for the better part of a decade with their own investors pounding the table to get paid. All of them, for the first time, are allowed to head for the same door. Will every single one sell? No, definitely not. But it doesn't take all of them. It just takes enough of them wanting out, and wanting out before the next guy beats them to it, to turn this beautiful chart of SpaceX going up around. Go back to the only rule that sets price. When that much stock comes looking for a buyer and there aren't enough buyers to soak it up, sellers have to cut their price to find a taker. So the question is simple, and it's the one I want you to sit with. When more than $1 trillion of stock that's been locked up for years finally goes looking for the exit, who exactly is going to be standing on the other side to buy it all? So, what do you do with this? Here's the rule one way to think about it, and it's the single most important idea I can give you. Price and value are not the same thing. Price is what the auction spits out on any given day, driven by emotions, by hype, by tweets, and yes, by mechanics like a locked up float and a wall of sellers waiting in the winds. The value is what the business is actually worth, based on what it will earn over time. Our entire job as investors is to know the difference and refuse to overpay, to demand what we call a margin of safety. When you understand what's waiting on the other side, you understand that today's price might be telling you a lot more than supply and demand is telling you about the business. And a great company can still be a terrible investment if you pay the wrong price for it. Loving the rockets, Starlink, Twitter, and AI? while also deciding that now might not be the right time to buy can both be true. Look, the reason I could walk you through this is that I was trained to look for exactly these kind of risks, the ones hiding underneath all the exciting stories, the ones that the hype machine of Wall Street has every incentive not to mention. That's what we do at Rule 1. We teach regular investors how to dig deep, how to value businesses for themselves, and spot risks before they cost you money. If you want to learn how to do this, how to analyze a company the way I just did and find the risks that nobody is putting in a thumbnail on YouTube, go sign up for a Rule 1 workshop. The link is down in the description. It's the best first step you can take to becoming an investor who understands what they own instead of just hoping. I'm Austin with Rule 1. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.